Welcome back to Forza Naples. After a little bit of a week off, Paul, we are ready to recap a draw that felt like a draw in Madison and Naples last Saturday, and we're going to look ahead to the two upcoming matches this week on Wednesday and Saturday nights. Paul, you looking forward to these matches?
Looking forward to getting back to the stadium on Saturday. A little midweek fixture as a tune-up, but two exciting matchups for different reasons. Knoxville above us on the table. Winner will have third place um, in the table, and then a game against the bottom of the league Saturday should, sets it up for a fun one on Saturday.
Yeah, busy week for FC Naples coming up, and then turning around and playing again next Friday, or sorry, next Saturday, and then a following Friday. So lots of games coming in hot and quick. Back-to-back home games for the first time since March. Exciting. Or I guess we did have back-to-back home games back in August, that Wednesday, Saturday, but back-to-back Saturday night games now that college football is back. Looking forward to these ones. Let's go back to last Saturday. It was a draw that felt like a draw against Forward Madison, a 0-0. I thought we played okay. Lots of back and forth. Not really anything in either side. Madison, I think, outshot us. I think they did have the better of the chances, but we didn't really give them a whole lot. We were slightly behind on the possession. But why talk about the past when we can move on and talk about the future? So one Knoxville rematch, they beat us 1-0, our first ever loss in club history. Back way back, that match was actually April 19th. For those keeping score at home. And like you said, Paul, it's third place is on the line in this game. They sit right above us on 34 points. We've got 33 points. They did play last Saturday against Richmond and lost 1-0. So they were on the road at Richmond and now coming home to host us 7 o'clock on Wednesday. What are you looking forward to in this one?
Yeah, it's interesting. In my mind, I thought this was a home game, so I was like, "Why? Weird that we played Knoxville twice at home, not on the road." But yeah, that if for those that have listened, if you remember, that was the one I believe where they got the cheap penalty called. It was right after the thriller against the Rowdies. We come back, we're kind of rolling at that point, and I think it was a cheap first half penalty that went against Naples. That was the difference, the only scoring chance they had. So, I believe I was at Neverblade's game watching that on my phone. I think that was Kelly Cup playoff time. That's how long ago this was. But it was a good game, and looking for the revenge factor because I think we were the better team, and I think we are the better team. And you hate to lose a game on a cheap penalty is uh, the reason you lose points. So. Looking forward to kind of staying hot. Yeah, that was a draw that felt like a draw, but it's a point away from home against a good side. I think they're playing well and should be an opportunity for 3 points on the road, which would be a massive 3 points.
Yeah, Knoxville, you're right. That was I think it was right before halftime. They got a soft penalty. I think now that Premier League's back, we could say, I don't think VAR would ever give that penalty, but also I'm not sure if VAR would overturn it. But soft nonetheless. You got to go with what's called on the field. We gave it up. We ended up losing that 1-0. But that's in the past. And yeah, I think we can go up to this third place and get revenge. We're going to have a little bit more rest, which is a good thing because the games are coming in pretty fast there. So having that little bit of extra rest. And then they're coming off of a tough loss against Richmond at the weekend. Before that, they had won two straight and then drawn 2-2 to Madison before that. So kind of up and down for them. They had beaten Richmond 2-0 earlier in that week. So they've now gone, though. They played last Wednesday. They played this past Saturday, and then they're playing us this Wednesday again. So lots of matches for them. So hopefully that rest can make the difference. Anyone you're excited to see in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think just seeing the squad back. Did Onan play Saturday?
He did not.
Yeah, and I don't think we have a status update from him yet. Correct?
I
This is
did.
something
I
that
do
if we were
believe
beta
he had
podcasts would have.
surgery on his wrist.
Okay. Yeah, just looking to see how they keep implementing the new signings into the rotation. We talked about the striker last episode, I think. It looked like they had one or two signings this week. So just curious to see what adjustments are kind of going to be made on both sides. Not being too familiar with Knoxville and how they played this year. Um, be interesting to see what Matt Poland does that will be different because I think we're playing totally differently than we were. Style, scheme, formation, all that is different than we were playing when we when we lost to them earlier in the year. So I don't have a specific name to watch, but just curious to see what Matt Poland can whip up.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping we see this a similar lineup to the one against Texoma. I really liked both Ians out wide. I thought that actually worked really well for us. And then it also kind of freed up Cisneros to make those runs down the left hand side. I'm not sure it was just more attacking runs from the two of them. I'm not sure what did it, but Cisneros seemed to be a lot more involved coming up the wing, and I think that's what it's going to take to maybe beat this Knoxville team. Like we've said, this Knoxville team has been really solid all year, so it's going to be a difficult match. Hopefully, their tired legs we can kind of sneak in there and take all 3 points. Looking at the stats and the highlights of them against Richmond, they played them back-to-back games Wednesday, Saturday. And dominated possession in both of them. So I think they're going to be a very possession-heavy team. Last time we played, we actually dominated the possession. So I kind of like the idea of what we've done to get these wins of just kind of, okay, we'll let you have the ball, in your own final third, in our final third, if you will, and then in the middle third. And then once they get the ball in our final third, we're going to take it to them and then just try and hit them on the counterattack. And I think that's how Richmond actually scored, was on the counterattack. So maybe chances there. Maybe they're a little vulnerable. Maybe we can catch them out. And they're tired. So excited for Knoxville Wednesday night on ESPN Plus. Always a fun time with some midweek FC Naples.
Yeah, we've seen FC Naples kind of in the 4-1, 4-1. And it's weird that we've done that for 5 straight games. I feel like we have changed shapes more recently than that, but I could have just lost focus on that a little bit. But curious to see that that's what we've done. Bockenstein, I really wish I knew how to say his name, didn't appear against Madison. So I'd be curious to see if that's a guy that will come on and do something. We'll see a completely different shape. Or if we'll stick with what we've been rolling with. It's hard to argue when we've taken 11 of our last 5 matches, taken 11 points. Hard to say we should make a change. But do you think that this is our permanent shape, or are we still trying to figure out what works best? I think that coincides with Onan being out as well, that we've kind of held this form.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the preferred shape. When we did play Madison, it did seem like Henderlong was really just up there by himself, and it was almost like we were playing 5 across the middle. And if anything, I thought Perpa and Torres, I think, were sitting even further back as defensive midfielders just because of how Madison had lined up, and then we were just trying to hit him on the break and try to score on set pieces, which it did work well. I thought we defended really well in that match. So I think this is kind of the shape going forward, and then he's just gonna I think look for more plug and play guys of, like you said. I keep wanting to call him Bastian Schweinsteiger, but it's his last name's Bastian. But look for him, to replace Henderlong, kind of a like for like substitution of those true classic strikers. And looking for pace out on the wings. Farine's another name that I know I just said I want to see both Ians starting out on the wing, but Farine I think would bring something if we do decide to kind of continue to weather the storm and then hit him on the counterattack. He was just brings so much pace and that different level. Madison looked like every time he got the ball, they had two guys committing to him, and one guy would go and try and put a challenge in, and the other guy was just preparing for that guy to be beat. So they might have figured out how to defend him, but even then, he still looked pretty scary running down the wings. So maybe look for him to be released against this Knoxville side.
Yeah, and it seems like O'Connor's become kind of the plug and play with what we need late. I feel like he started early on in the year, and I just think Torres and Perpa have just been playing so well that you can't take and Ian Serra. Like it's one of those things that it's a good problem to have, but there's one or two too many guys, that could be starting that are going to have to be bench players, which is only going to be worse when Onan comes back. That you're going to have, the positive is you're going to have three really strong subs with, probably Ian Garrett, O'Connor, and then pick and choose. Is it Cisneros or Torres or Perpa? Not sure who loses their spot when Onan comes back. But just, I think with this shape, and I think the reason that it threw me off when I looked at it on a 2D model is that it can become so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
So on paper, it's a 4-1-4-1, but Farin can bust out or Sarah can bust out on the wings. It's not as scary when it's not Onan, because I just don't think Sarah's got the pace Onan has, but kind of that generic setup does allow you to kind of play in a fluid way throughout the game, depending on what it needs. If you need your midfielders to sit back more, they can sit back a little bit more, or your wing guys to run out wide, they can do that. But yeah, no, that back four is still holding strong. I think that was our first clean sheet in what feels like ages.
Yeah, I think that was a big win for us. You mentioned Kevin O'Connor there. I think Kevin O'Connor's kind of become like an insurance policy, if you will, coming off the bench and just reassuring us. And like you said, he can play anywhere in the midfield, and it's just he comes in. It's like, okay, we got this in the bag now. Just kind of brings us down a level, brings a like almost a calming presence, and has done really well in that role so far. And I hate that he's not in the starting 11, but like you said, I don't know who he would come in to replace right now. And this is all without Onan. So when he comes back, you got to assume he'll at least be coming off the bench first. But O'Connor, I think, has been so good just coming off the bench late in games. Okay, we got this, guys. Let's go. But yeah, that would have been our first clean sheet looking here since...
I was going to ask you a trivia question. When do you think it was?
I think it was in the Jägermeister Cup against Charleston.
And you think that because you just looked. I know it. I know it because I would have said June. Surely this summer we would have had a clean sheet, but it was the Charleston game back in April. Meaning Texoma, first week of April was our last league clean sheet. Which kind of is a testament, the first 6 weeks of the season we were raving about the back line, and then kind of all summer we were like, what happened to our back line? The stats kind of show it there. And I guess when you lead the league in last 15-minute goals of the first half, you're probably not going to have too many clean sheets, but that's got to be a confidence boost. It's not just the back line, but kind of the whole squad, right?
Right. I think your best offense is your defense. And that's kind of, I think Matt Poland said that earlier in the season. And when we do have such a solid back line and guys that are able to win tackles, get stuck in, and then we hit teams in transition, it's been a recipe for success in this league so far. And people, I mean, maybe they figured it out in June, or maybe we just didn't really play well in those couple of months towards the end of May and early June, and even into July. But, maybe we finally figured something out, and we're ready to go now come, this playoff push. There's not that many games left. It's kind of crazy how this season's been very long, but we only have 5 home matches remaining, and that includes the one Saturday night.
Do you think that it's too early to say? Obviously, it's only been one season, but do you think that it's possible that we're not a warm weather team? that it was the warm summer days that really killed us.
Maybe, and maybe now that it's only 98 heat index, we'll play well at home in the insane humidity. But yeah, that very well could be. I think we just kind of, I don't know what happened, and it'd be interesting to do a full, maybe we'll do an episode of that after the season's over, but just a full retrospective of the season to come out, win all those games in a row. I think we tied the league record for most wins to start a franchise, and then just to kind
Unbeaten,
of
most
unbeaten,
unbeaten. Um,
unbeaten, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, I was
And,
counting them as wins because we didn't know what to expect. Those Portland and Chattanooga days early.
and then you beat Charleston 1-0 and against a team that I haven't looked at the championship standings other than to see my Oakland Roots are in last place. I think the Battery are top three in the East. Like,
Yeah, they're currently sitting second in the East, second overall in the USL Championship on 47 points.
what about where's while you're looking at the table, where's the Rowdies?
The Rowdies are. Hold on, I'm still
And
scrolling.
yeah, they're
They're
in
sitting
last.
in 12th. Yeah,
Yep, they're in last in the East.
last
Okay.
place in the entire league.
Yeah, well, rivalry game, they get up for that one, but yeah, that would be an interesting, or even just to look at the stats and just to see if kind of were early games. And you don't want to say, fluky, but I think we talked about it early. Was our style was so different, and that pace from Farina and Onan was just something that teams probably haven't seen a whole lot at this level, and then they get adjusted to it. They answer, and now Matt Poland has gone into the bag of tricks and's figured out, okay, this is how we're going to counter their counter, and we're back into the winning ways. And as we've said all year, you want to be peaking in about a month. So we still got a few more weeks, but you want to be peaking kind of towards the end of September, getting ready for the playoffs. Um, not a team that peaked in June. And I think that standing, that's a good thing about how long the season is. There's not, there are a few cup games, but allows you to try some things. But the standings at the end of the year, I think, will be indicative of how the season was. Like, you're not going to have somebody that was just fluky for a time being. Um, it all gets evened out in the wash.
Yeah, that's I was just gonna say that it all comes out in the wash where, it is a long season, and thankfully you've got to be consistently good, it seems. But to the other sense, 8 teams out of the 14 make the playoffs, so you've just got to be better than average to get in, and then once you're in, who knows what can happen. So looking at kind of those bottom half teams, you got Charlotte below us, AV Alta, Texoma, Omaha. We've beaten all of them, with the exception of AV Alta, but that was a draw that felt like a win, so let's count it. So getting ready to beat those guys. But then you look up, we've beaten Spokane. I think this Knoxville game's really going to be a test to see, all right, how do we stack up now against another really good side. Haven't been able to beat Chattanooga yet with the 2 draws and the 1 loss on a waterlogged pitch, so let's not even count that. But we've been really competitive against these good teams, so we've really got to take that into Wednesday night and take that mentality in and be ready to pick up 3 points.
Yeah, and I think you hit it earlier in the episode too, talking about the rest advantage. I think that's another factor when you look at the longevity of the season, is that we seemed kind of in those summer months to be playing a lot of games back to back to back, and a couple two week stints, 2 games in a week. Teams just caught us in good spots, and I think that we should be thinking that way with Knoxville, that this is a team that should be tired and has a game on Saturday as well. That this is one that we could catch them and put up 3 points on the road. And kind of the recipe, right? The recipe is you go on the road. If you want to be a top tier team, you go on the road and you get points against the bottom half, and then you hope that you're getting points from the top half of the table. And this would be a great 3 points, kind of just to solidify, hey, we're back. Team's playing well. We're in form. And for the standings, you get sole possession of you get sole possession of third, and you're not too far off from second place. I think we still have Spokane later in the year, so uh, there is a big advantage to being second versus um, fourth, getting two home playoff games versus the one.
Yeah, Spokane second to last week of the season. That's October 18th. And then Charlotte Independence October 25th. So that's who we'll close out with. Who both, right around us, Spokane second, Charlotte fifth. So more tough games to come. Not a this week we've got two games. We'll get to the Westchester match here in a second, but after that it's the season's slowly wrapping up. Nine games left after this week, so lots still to play for, but also just about 2 months left, September and October, and then it's playoff time.
And it's mostly Saturday. I think it's mostly Saturday fixtures. Um, we have the ones, basically weekend fixtures. The weekday. This is the last weekday game of the year. Um, Now FC Naples is just gonna have to compete with your favorite, college or NFL or potentially high school team for the one Friday night game. But yeah, a lot of opportunities still on the board, and you know, like I said, I think if we can find ourselves into a top two position, I think we'll be set up real well come playoff time. I think, especially with the craziness of distance that these teams, there's going to be some teams going, from the Mid Atlantic or Northeast all the way to the West Coast, and you're gonna have to fly back to South Florida or Tennessee, whatever. And that's going to be a lot of miles for the bottom four that make the playoffs. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how the season wraps up, especially when you talk. I think like 6 through 10 are separated by a point. Uh, Playoff picture is going to start to form, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. So what big game are you looking forward to most on Saturday?
We're talking about Ohio State, Texas, right? Or we're talking League One.
I mean, I was talking first about, you got Knoxville and Spokane kicking off at 5, and then go straight to Paradise Coast Sports Complex for Naples against Westchester. But maybe that was just me.
Yeah, I
And then,
think. Yeah, I think that'll be a great pregame watching the 5 o'clock kick. It would be better than any any college football game. There's plenty of college football left. Only a few more. Only a few more USL League One games. It is kind of funny that the USL League One does categorize both our Wednesday and Saturday as match day 24. Have you noticed that?
I did see that, yeah. So we have 2 matches in match day 24.
I really think the big one, right? I think one Knoxville Spokane is going to be an awesome, pregame to our game, for those fans that aren't in town. But also Wednesday night you got Forward Madison Texoma, which at the beginning of the year was kind of a garbage a garbage matchup that's now a postseason, a postseason contender. If Madison wins that game, they'll be just 2 points out of a playoff spot. So, and Texoma currently holding a playoff spot. So, um, next week's episode will be, we'll have a whole new insight on what the playoff picture and the standings look like.
Yes. It's a fun league, isn't it? I'm all in on this USL League One. I was talking with a friend who's a huge Orlando City guy, and I was like, you know what? Back to our rant that we've been saying all year. MLS is dead. USL's where it's at. And then showed him. I think we were watching an Omaha game on ESPN Plus, and he was like, okay, yeah, this is some proper sicko football.
Is
Like,
there anything more great than a Wednesday night match in Omaha between Texoma and Union Omaha? Like, is that not just the best Wednesday you can think of?
No, and like there's no action right now. So what else are you gonna watch on Wednesday night?
I think that there is a fan base looking to be tapped into. College football fans love the action on Tuesday, Wednesday night. I mean, the USL League One could be dominating Tuesday and Wednesday. Then you don't got to compete with any major college football or NFL, and boom, you're getting, like Wednesday night. What else is there to watch besides FC Naples Knoxville? There's nothing else. Nothing else you should be watching besides that match.
Agreed. So let's talk about Saturday. We know that these matches are thankfully only going to take about 2 hours, unlike college football. Another point to USL League One. So Westchester SC coming back into town. FC Naples, when we played them back in July, took care of them 2-1. Come from behind victory, a solid one at that. We seemed pretty slow out of the gates, and then about the 30th minute, I want to say, we finally found our form. Westchester dominated possession this time. You looking for more of the same? We're going to hit them on the brakes and find a way to squeak through.
I think that, and this is kind of fun. I think this is one of the first episodes we've done. This we did one like a week ago where it was previewing two matches, right? Like we're sitting here right now thinking we either squeak out a win and get all 3 points, or we settle for the draw Wednesday, right? That's the mindset that I have when we're talking about Westchester on Saturday. God forbid that we lose to Knoxville. I think that the tone changes and the foot stomping needs to be, the curb stomp needs to be harder. But I think this is another one that you got to think Westchester's lost 4 or 5, and I think they drew the other one. So this is a team that's not good. They're not in form. Uh, if this isn't a 3-0 or better win, and we all know how soccer goes. You could have all the possession, all the shots, and only find 1 or 2 goals. So I would settle if it was a dominating 2-0 victory. But I think it's really important for the back line to keep that streak going. Get Delgado another clean sheet, and the offense to find itself. I don't think we've scored more than 3 goals in a game this year. Is that our top? We've done it a couple times, but
Yeah,
three's our
three
number.
three seems to be the top. We did that against Little Rock Rangers, against Texoma, and then I believe we've done it one other time. Let me find it here. Against Union Omaha, or that was at the end of
Yep.
May there.
Yep. So I think this is an opportunity, and I think I say it every week that it's going to be the week we get 4. Um, Set a franchise record in front of the home fans would be awesome. Unless somehow we score 4 against Knoxville, then we need 5. Um, if we set the record against Knoxville Wednesday, we got to set the record again Saturday.
So
It,
ambitious. What's
is
your
there is there any part of you that thinks that's going to have any? I don't know how to phrase this in a positive manner, but if we don't get 3 points Saturday, that's would go down as probably our worst match of the year.
I don't know if it would go down as the worst match of the year. I think that first AV Alta game was pretty bad. The makeup game. I think we've had a couple other just not great performances, or just okay performances. Like they weren't terrible, but they weren't great. I don't know where to even classify them. So I mean, maybe to do it at home. If we've got a lot of excitement coming off of a one Knoxville game, and then we think we have momentum, say we beat them 3-1, and then we come into Saturday and we draw 0-0 again, it's just kind of like we got this big head start. We're coming in sprinting, and then we just fall flat on our face. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. So hopefully that is not what happens, and we can live up to your expectations of a 5-0 win against Westchester, who I don't think has ever given up 5 goals either. So that would be a franchise record for them too.
Yeah, good to be on both ends. Yeah, it just feels like one of those games. You talk about the form, talk about the distance in the standings. That needs, and again, if it's a 1-0 win, win's a win. I think if we walk out of there Saturday night, if we're leaving the beer garden with less than 3 points, um, it's going to be a sad walk back to the car.
I do have to correct myself. I just found it. Westchester did lose 5-2 to AV Alta. So AV Alta has scored 5 goals on Westchester. So make
Yeah,
it 6.
we need six. You didn't mention too, like the game against AV where we looked horrible and we lost, I think 3-1, maybe 4-1. It got ugly late, but that's and the reason I bring it up, right? Like AV Alta is going to be a playoff team. I think they're kind of in the battle right now. I fully expect them to potentially even host the game, find their way into fourth. But Westchester's just a team that's dead. In kick them in while they're down. Um, there's no reason to pull off the gas. And I think you're right that there could be the flatness if we do have a big win Wednesday. But I think this squad's very professional. They're going to be, they're going to hold off on going down to Mercado till, after the game Saturday night and celebrate down there after we pull off 6 points this week.
I like it. Yeah. Hopefully not hitting the whiskey bars too hard there in Knoxville. Saturday night too, battle of the hospital shirt sponsors. I think Westchester's also sponsored by a hospital. I was doing some research on this earlier today. I think like almost half of the league in USL League One is sponsored by a hospital, which I've always kind of found interesting. No offense to Physicians Regional, the official front of shirt sponsor of FC Naples, but if you're a hospital, why do you need to sponsor like a soccer team? Like if I break my leg, I'm just going to go to the nearest hospital. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Physicians Regional because they're the official front of shirt sponsor of FC Naples. Maybe that's just me. Maybe other people are more likely to pick and choose where they're going to go.
Well, I think it's interesting because I don't think Florida or Naples has a lot of options, and I could be wrong, but I remember taking a survey after buying something or something from the Panthers Iceplex, the Baptiste Health Clinic or whatever the sponsorship is, and it's like because of Baptiste Health Clinic's sponsorship of the Panthers, are you more likely or less likely to go when you have a medical emergency? And it was just like something I literally had not thought of until you just brought that up, and it's a good point, right? Like, yeah, you break your leg, I don't care who you sponsor. Um, like Arthrex would make sense, right? Like there's plenty of people, there's competition for what they provide. Could be another great sponsorship at some point down the road. Would be great if they sponsored the show. But yeah, the health clinic is an interesting Physicians Regional. So you said half the league has a hospital.
I believe so. I think it's 6 out of the 14. I'm trying to find my sheet where I was tracking this earlier today, but I cannot find it as we record this live. So I should have brought that up in our pre-production meeting where we talked
lengthy
about
pre-production meeting.
Yeah, where we talked about drafting in for fantasy football. So
it's fantasy football and Flanagan's. It was a great pre-production meeting. I don't know what else there is to talk about.
Very important pre-production meeting. All right, so before we go, Paul, you gotta give us a score line for Wednesday and then for Saturday.
Wednesday's going to be a gritty 1-1 draw. I think that we're going to score first, and Knoxville's going to break our heart late. And I'm going 3-0 for Saturday. I'm going to be conservative. Would love if it was a little bit higher, but I'll go with a conservative 3-0. And when we record this podcast next week, we'll be talking about Henderlong's 2 goals this week, and Perp is going to tack one on too. And Bockenstein, Schweinsteiger, I think he gets his first professional goal this week. So probably on Saturday when everybody's scoring.
I like it. Wednesday, I think I'm going to go 2-1 to Naples. I think Knoxville scores first. Let's go another soft penalty, and then we come back and break their hearts in the second half. 90 plus 3-minute goal by Cisneros at the death there to win it, take all 3 points back. And then Saturday, I think I'm going to go for a 3-1. I think it'll be comfortable for most of it, 2-0. They're going to get one late, just a bad goal or something, and then we'll put one in late. 3-1 final.
Think that is there going to be a friendly beer token wager on this one on the Knoxville game?
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Will whoever's closest will buy the other one a beer with their tokens?
Perfect.
Is that what we're doing?
Perfect.
I did find my tracker here live as I was giving scoreline predictions. It is confirmed 6 out of the 14 teams in League One are sponsored by hospitals and or hospital foundations, because it looks like Chattanooga is sponsored by Chi Memorial Foundation. So not sure if that's different, but I threw them in there.
And Knoxville is sponsored by who?
They are sponsored by an internet provider. They are the only one sponsored by an internet provider. One team sponsored by Hotel Casino, that's Spokane Velocity.
Nice.
South Georgia Tormenta, in my opinion, wins the award for the coolest sponsor. I had to look it up, but it's like a turf care system for fields, and like Hard Rock Stadium's a client, also a bunch of golf courses. Very cool. So no idea how they're the sponsor. Maybe the guy that founded the company is really into soccer, wanted to sponsor the team.
Probably.
Not sure what's going on there, but that is the excitement that we have had this week here at the
I
Force
love
Naples
that
podcast.
you didn't give the internet company a shout out on the pod. No free advertisements from us.
No. Internet company, you know who you are. Contact us. Also, Physicians Regional Hospital. I did actually use your hospital to your urgent care that's near me. So your sponsorship's working. So don't stop giving FC Naples money to keep buying players. That's just my PSA. Paul, anything else you want to add before we go?
Now excited to be back in the beer garden, be back home on Saturday. So if you see us, come say hello, and love hearing from you. Get in contact with the show. If you want to download a Blue Sky account, whatever that is, Ian will tell you how to find us.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, Forza Naples Pod, Forza Naples on Blue Sky. Shoot us an email. I don't think I've checked the email in a couple weeks, so apologies if you did shoot us an email and I haven't gotten back to you. I will get better at that.
That's where our Mick Ultra sponsorship is. It's deep in the email.
Yeah, I'm a bit like the Crystal Palace owner. They're not wanting to check my emails, but I will admit that I did not check my emails. So maybe we did get invited to the Europa League, and I missed the email, and now we're gonna have to settle for the Conference League. Just a little shot at them. But thank you all so much for listening. Come say hi to us on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Until then, up the Naples.